which has 11 elements, which I reference in the paper, of the Better Life Index. So you can go in and look at different countries, and you can do weightings. You can say, well, actually, I think mental health's more important than economic sustainability or whatever. So you can play with the weightings, and the countries will move in the rankings. So, while away a happy hour. And then you'll have well-being, so that'll be good at the end of it. Or maybe not, depending on how your mind works. So it's an attempt to try and say it's about more than economic, but still quite top-down. And the third bit I want to get into is taking that word flourishing, which was in the slide that I took from Melanie and Monica's work, and explore this a bit further. So there's been a rise of work in the last couple of years that's wanted to go beyond well-being and capabilities and go back to human flourishing. And sometimes it actually refuses to use an English terminology at all and goes back to Aristotle and talks about eudaimonia. Because the argument being that none of these translations quite work. So it's trying to go back to this and say, well, what is the ultimate purpose? What are people actually bothered about? What would make a life that we see as flourishing? And I think that Aristotelian tradition, which clearly Nussbaum draws upon in the capabilities, is very open-ended. But it's intended to be practical in that you only get to flourish by living in the world and acting in the world, not by philosophizing the whole time. So it's saying people do this not by sitting and reflecting, but by finding a path through life and going through, obviously reflection during that. But it's about finding a pathway that makes sense. At the heart of it, it's about striving to become more human. And so it's vocational in that older and spiritual and religious sense of vocational. So there's a vocation to become a better person. Now clearly that links in, it has resonances with capabilities. It has resonances with a lot of the UNESCO tradition around Delors and Faure and the learning to be and those kind of things rather than learning just to do. So there are resonances there. I think it has resonances with John Dewey and kind of, so there are lots of traditions it has resonances with. But I just want to explore it kind of from my own position of being interested in particular strand of this, and this is where I came to this, so 20 years ago, and then kind of I've only come back to some of this stuff recently, which is out of